Hello there guys, Mark here. I hope you are well. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to tie another style of a wide Turk's head knot paracord bracelet. Today we're doing one in the Spanish ring knot style. Here is an example of the bracelet that we're going to be making today. It is essentially a 2-pass or 2-ply Spanish ring knot with the two ends joined. This creates a slip-on style of a bracelet, which you basically just slide onto your wrist and you're ready to go. Before we begin our tutorial, I would like to mention that this is a fairly easy bracelet to do. So even if you're not particularly experienced with Turk's head knots, this one should be quite doable. With that said, let's start off with the supplies, then tie our bracelet. The first supply that we're going to need for this project is going to be a single piece of paracord about 10 feet long. The second vital supply is going to be a cylindrical object onto which we're going to tie our bracelet. This can be a Pringles can, a regular can, or a jar. We are also going to be using a rubber band, which is going to hold one end of our cord. A very useful supply is a lacing needle. It is optional, but it's going to make your job a lot easier. You are also going to need something to cut your cord with, and a lighter to melt your paracord. With these supplies ready, let's begin. We begin tying by attaching our lacing needle onto one end of our cord. Tuck the other end under the rubber band. We are first going to tie a base knot, then expand it into a Spanish ring knot, and finally double up the Spanish ring knot. So first, a base knot, which is going to be a 3-part 8-bite Turk's head. Pick up your paracord and wrap around. Pass over the standing end and around over this part. Pick up your working end and pass under over. Like this. We now have 3 strands at the top. Cross the middle one over the right one. Like this. Pick up your working end and pass under over. Like this. And again, we have 3 strands at the top. Place the middle one over the left one, and with your working end, pass under over. And again, we have 3 strands. Pick up the middle one and pass it over the right one. Like this. take your working hand and pass under, over. And again we have 3 strands. Pick up the middle one and place it over the left one. Pick up your working hand and pass under, over. Like this. Place your working hand alongside the standing hand. So essentially we went under, over. And with this our base knot is complete. It has 3 parts and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bites. The next step is to turn our wide Turk's head knot into a Spanish ring knot. This is very easy to do. You take your working hand, so this one, and you place it onto the left side of the standing hand. Like this. Basically, you get a sequence of under 1, over 2. Then, you take your working hand and on the next bite, you travel under 1, over 2. Like this. And again, after exiting the knot here, we travel under 1, over 2. And again, after exiting, re-enter under 1, over 2. And again, after exiting, re-enter under 1, over 2. At this point, we came here and we're going to re-enter under 2, over 2. Basically splitting a pair of parallel strands. This is all we're going to be doing until we finish up the knot. So we exit and re-enter under 2, over 2, splitting a pair. And again, after exiting, re-enter under 2, over 2. And again, after exiting, under 2, over 2. And again, under 2, over 2. And at this point we have finished up our Spanish ring knot. Place your working hand alongside your standing hand. The Spanish ring knot is complete. The final step is to double up our knot. Our working hand is traveling under 2 over 2 alongside the standing end. Now we simply follow or chase the standing end through the entire knot. So like this, we basically parallel the standing end and double it up. When you reach the standing end again with your working end, your knot is doubled. We are now at a point where we can finish up the Spanish ring knot into a bracelet. To do this, the first thing that we're going to do is retighten our bracelet. We start at the working end, we pull it in a little bit, and we run the slack through the entire knot and out of the standing end. After tightening up, remove your bracelet off of the mandrel . At this point, we're going to try out our bracelet. You may get a perfect fit, or the bracelet might be a bit too loose. If it is too loose, retighten it on a smaller mandrel, perhaps 2.5 inches in diameter. To finish up the two ends of your bracelet, usually what we do is we turn our bracelet inside out so that we can work on the two ends. Here, you can stitch the two ends together. You can use the two ends to tie some sort of a decorative knot. Or what you can do is melt the two ends together. To melt the two ends together, I'm going to cut them at about the same spot. Now you will want a bit of extra length so that you can fit one end into the other, like this. Now remove the inner strands out of both of the ends. About half an inch will do. We're going to remove the inner strands out of both of the ends. After removing the inner strands out of both of my ends, I'm going to spread one end out a little bit so that I can push the other end into it. I'm now going to heat up the other end . And then push it into the opened end. Like this. Now, melt these outside frayed bits a little bit. Roll between your fingers and you have joined two ends together. Now flip your bracelet around, turning it inside out again, and your bracelet is complete. And this is the 2-ply Spanish ring knot paracord bracelet. Quite a long name for a fairly simple bracelet. In my opinion, the only hard part is actually joining the two ends together at the end. Other than that, once you get used to it, this one should be a piece of cake. Guys, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope to see you in my future tutorials as well.